I'm Lily and I make videos about sewing from my tiny sewing studio in my camper van. In today's episode, I've decided to slow things right down. I haven't got my sewing machine out, I've got English paper piecing out. We've got some Liberty scraps, I've got some tiny hexiform shapes which are 1/2 inch, and I've got some cute little frames. So my plan is to make some flower art framed type thing. I don't know how it's going to work because, as usual, I haven't planned it. I'm just making it up as I go along, but I've got an idea in my head and I'm hoping these aren't going to be too fiddly to work with, but if they are, I'll let you know because I'm going to film the process. The red one was really easy to do, however the little diamond was a little bit more fiddly. These are the shapes I've chosen. They come from Ashmead Designs and they do lots of different shapes and sizes. I didn't use all of them today, but I will use them for future projects. That little red one worked out okay. That wasn't too bad. I thought it was going to be a bit more fiddly than that. These are the shapes I'm using. They've got 5 edges, so I'm going to make 5 in total. And I'm going to use the red ones, and I'm going to put this in the middle. The fabrics that I'm using are from the Patchwork Plus Block of the Month, and I've saved all the scraps. And someone put in the comments, don't call them scraps because they're too nice to be called scraps. So that is actually true. So I'm going to try and think of another word to use instead of scraps. So maybe just leftover pieces. The leftover pieces from my quilt I've saved, and they are perfect for these little tiny projects, so it's worth keeping pieces. Even if they're small, you can make something with them. So yeah, I'm going to have red around the outside and then this in the middle, and then I'm going to sew them together and I'll show you what they look like. So I've just finished the first one, the red one. Put the flower the right way up. That was fun to make. It wasn't too fiddly, it wasn't too bad. I think it came out quite neatly. So that is ready to applique onto something else, because with the hexiform, the good thing is you don't have to take the shape out. So that's perfect. So I'll put that one to one side, and I'm now going to try the petal ones. I think these are a bit bigger. These are 1/2 inch, so I'm going to have a little go with those and see how I get on with those ones. The petals didn't turn out quite so well, so I stitched them together. I'm going to be honest about how messy this looks. There's got a hole in the middle. Can you see the hole in the middle? They were quite hard to do. I'm not sure if they even joined together. I might have put too many or not enough on, but I made them into a flower, but I'm not keen on the flower shape. I'll show you the back as well. One of them sticking out, so I didn't put it in, but I mean, that's just not very good, is it? So I don't know if it's because I'm in a rush to finish them, or whether... I think the one issue with the hexiform is it's quite hard to feel the edges. So sometimes I think it's you stitch a bit through a bit too much, possibly, or I do. So that's the only negative I can see with them. I don't know if that's what I've done there. And once you get a few on, it's quite hard to see where you're stitching, and because you can't feel the card. Anyway, so I'm not sure about that one, but what I did find is when I put them together originally, two together make a little heart shape. So I think I'm going to make a little heart. And also, that's too big to fit in the frame anyway. So, but you can make a little flower with them if you want to. But I don't really like it. So let's make a heart and see what that looks like. The main issue so far hasn't been the size of the pieces, as in they've been too fiddly for me to do, to sew and everything. The main thing has been I keep losing them. I keep popping them around me, and then I can't find where they are. So I've just found this one, but it's taken me 10 minutes to find it. And this is the fabric I'm going to have on the back. So this is a linen that I hand dyed myself with, I think it was a fruit tea bag. It must have been. I can't think of anything else that could have made that colour. So yes, I would have just dipped it in fruit tea and then rinsed it afterwards, and then just hung it on the line to dry, and it's come out a really nice colour. I like dyeing my fabrics, and if I'm cross stitching I like to dye my Ada or the embroidery fabric that I'm using. So yeah, this is a bit different. Normally I just do tea, but this one's a pinky colour. So yes, the idea for this one is I'm going to applique this onto here and then see what it looks like, and then choose a flat frame. So that's ready to do in a moment. Oops. But first of all, what I'm going to do is try out a few more of the shapes. I'm going to do the hearts that I talked about a moment ago, and then maybe try the little diamonds as well and see how I go with those. Something I will just mention, with these hexiforms, they are fluffy on one side and kind of woven on the back, and you stick the fluffy side onto the fabric. So you've got fluffy side down, so that's kind of gives a nice, not bumpy, that's the wrong word, but a slightly raised, nice look about it when you stitch it on. Okay, so with this shape I've just glued that, a little tiny dot of glue there just to get that in place, and then I've snipped along the bottom because it will make it a bit neater along the bottom there, and I've done some tiny snips just along the edge here just to make that fold over, so we're not going down as far as the curve of the actual, we're not going down as far as here. I'm going halfway between here and here, so we've just got little snips, and then it just makes it a little bit easier to fold round. So I'll finish that little heart. I used two different fabrics in the end. I couldn't decide whether to use the same fabric or two, but I've used two. And there's the back. I've left the cotton on because I'm now going to applique it onto the fabric, which I showed you earlier. So that's going to be my next job. Also, I made another one with little diamonds, which I'm not sure if I like this one or not, but I made that one. This was with cotton, and I think it's all Liberty, but I think the Tana Lawn works a bit better personally with the fabric. It's easier to kind of, with the smaller ones especially, because it's quite thick to fold over, and I've got all the little, there's quite a lot of those to tuck under to stitch it on. So I don't know if I'm going to use this one or not, but it's just an idea of the little diamond shaped ones, of just something you can do with them. There's the back. So I'm going to get appliquing now. So here it is, turned out really pretty. And can you see how it slightly stands out from the fabric? It gives a nice puffy effect because of the hexy form. I think they look really nice, especially on this thin embroidery fabric. It looks really nice. And in a future episode, I am planning on making something bigger with these on some fabric and combining some other types of embroidery as well, but that will be in another episode. But just for today, I'm going to be putting this one on here as well, and then we'll have a look what they look like in the frames. I'm just pinning mine on here, just like that. I've just got one pin in the middle. You could use glue. You could also use a hoop if you would find that easier to hold the fabric while you're appliquing it on. But I'm finding it easy enough just with a pin and just doing it kind of freestyle. These ones look so lovely sewn on, but the little diamond and the big flower, I didn't applique on. I've just laid them on the fabric. I really enjoyed appliquing them on. It's so satisfying because they're puffy. I don't know, it's really satisfying. I would recommend it. So the next job is to see if they fit in the frames. So fingers crossed they will. And yes, I know I should have planned it better and worked out at the beginning whether they'd fit in the frames or not, but it's not how I work. Got my jumper on now. It's a bit chilly and started to rain. Okay, so they turned out so nice. I'm really excited to share them with you. So I'm covered in threads. So this is the first one, which is my favourite. And this is the second one, which I still like too, but the other one was my favourite, a little heart. I did try that in the heart-shaped frame, but I didn't quite like it, so I've put it in there instead. This one is definitely my favourite, though. I think I like the colours, but they're both really pretty. For the backs, what I did was I just trimmed it. Now you could put some stitch a little bit or glue, even if you're going to keep it in there, you could glue some felt or something on the back or a piece of fabric on the back. I'm not too fussed with mine, so I'm just putting it like that. But I think the contrast in those colours looks really nice. I think that's what makes that one look extra nice. And there's the other one. So what do you think? Will you be trying some miniature English paper pieced framed art, or just some miniature English paper piecing? It's quite difficult to say. I definitely think these would look lovely on a piece of fabric stitched on some different flowers, so I'm looking forward to doing something like that in the future as well. But in the meantime, I think my little framed art turned out really well. So I hope you've got a little bit of inspiration, and I hope you've enjoyed watching. Take care everybody, and I'll see you again on my next video. Bye.